I helped my ex-boyfriend pay off his debt. Now he's living lavishly with his new girlfriend and has blocked me everywhere. I used to believe that love was about supporting each other through tough times. That if you truly loved someone, you wouldn't abandon them just because life got hard. And that belief, it ruined me. I met Jake 4 years ago, and from the start, he was magnetic. He had that perfect mix of confidence and vulnerability. The kind of guy who made you feel like you were the only person who truly understood him. He told me about his big dreams of starting his own business, how he just needed the right opportunity to make it work. But life, he said, had been unfair to him. I swear, babe, if I had half the luck other guys do, I'd be unstoppable. But it's okay, because I have you, and we're a team, right? That was the first hook, the first manipulation. I thought I had found someone who needed me, someone I could build a future with. So, when he started struggling financially, I didn't hesitate. At first it was small things, covering dinner, helping with gas money. But then it became rent, car repairs, business expenses, and then the big one, his debt. Babe, I hate asking you for this, but I have no one else to turn to. Once I get this cleared up, everything will change. I swear on my life, I'll pay you back. I believed him. Because that's what love is, right? And so I emptied my savings. Not once did he say, I'll find a way to fix this myself. Not once did he say, you shouldn't have to do this for me. No, Jake let me bleed for him. And I was too blind to see what was happening. After I paid off his debt, I expected things to change. I expected Jake to finally be free, to step up and start building the life he always talked about. Instead, he became different. He started dressing better, wearing expensive cologne. He was always on his phone, but the moment I asked who he was texting, he'd laugh. Relax, babe. Just business. He stopped saying I love you first. I had to say it before he'd respond. When I suggested a weekend getaway, something to celebrate this new beginning, he hesitated. Now isn't the right time, babe. Let's wait until things are really stable. I brushed it off. He had a point, right? We should be responsible. But then, one night, I woke up at 2 a.m. and found him whispering into his phone in the living room. When he saw me, he immediately hung up. Just work stuff. Go back to sleep. I should have trusted my gut right then. But I didn't. Instead, I convinced myself that I was just being paranoid. Because if I admitted that something was wrong, then I'd have to admit that I had been used. A week later, I came home earlier than expected. The apartment felt wrong. I walked into the bedroom expecting to see him there, but instead, his things were gone. All of them. No note, no warning, just vanished. I felt my stomach drop. I called him, voicemail, I texted him, no response. I opened Instagram and that's when I saw it. Jake, smiling, relaxed, on a vacation, with another woman. The caption? Living my best life with the best company, blessed. My hands were shaking as I clicked on his profile. User not found. I had been blocked. Everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp. He had erased me from his life as if I had never existed. The man I spent years supporting had cut me off the second he no longer needed me. I sat there, staring at the screen, my entire body numb. How could I have been so stupid? How did I not see this coming? But as the shock wore off, something else took its place. Rage. Jake thought he had won. He thought he had used me, squeezed every last drop out of me, and walked away without consequences. He was wrong. If Jake thought he could erase me from his life that easily, then I would make sure he regretted ever meeting me. I didn't cry. Not after I saw that Instagram post. Not after I realized he had blocked me. Not even after it hit me that I had spent years building this man up, only for him to walk away the moment he didn't need me anymore. I didn't cry, because anger burns hotter than grief. And right now, I was on fire. Jake thought he had wiped me from his life, thought he had upgraded to a newer, shinier version of me. But what he didn't know? I wasn't done with him. The first thing I did was find out everything I could about his new life. Blocked? Fine. I made a fake account. Took me 5 minutes. Her name was Emma, and she was exactly Jake's type. Young, pretty, and just naive enough to believe his bullshit. I scrolled through her posts, her stories, the way she gushed about her amazing boyfriend, Jake. So lucky to be with a man who knows how to treat a woman right. Blessed. I almost gagged. The comments were full of red flags disguised as romance. He's so generous. He always takes me to the most expensive places. I've never felt more spoiled in my life. That's when I knew. Jake was using her too, the same way he used me. Because here's the thing. Jake was never rich. He just knew how to look like he was. He was playing the same game, except this time, Emma was the one funding his lifestyle. And she had no idea. That's when I made my decision. I wasn't gonna destroy him. I was gonna let him destroy himself. Men like Jake, they thrive on control. They make you feel like you need them while secretly being the ones who need you. And if there's one thing I knew about him, it's that he couldn't handle doubt. So, I planted it. It started small. A comment under one of her posts. Wow, you're so lucky. I heard he used to have a serious girlfriend before. Wonder what happened? It got likes, replies, people asking, wait, who? Then I messaged her from my fake account. Hey, I don't mean to be weird, but I used to know Jake. Just be careful, okay? He has a history of being a little too good at making women feel special. She didn't respond, but she saw it. And from that moment on, I knew the seed was planted. Because doubt, it spreads like wildfire. A few days later, I did something risky. I called Jake. I knew he wouldn't pick up. I was still blocked. But that didn't matter, because my goal wasn't to talk to him. My goal was to make sure Emma saw my name. I called twice. Then I left a voicemail. Hey Jake, I don't know why you're ignoring me, but we need to talk. You know what this is about. Vague enough to sound serious, predictable enough to set him off. Because I knew Emma. I knew she'd see my name, hear my voice, and ask him about it. And Jake? Jake would panic. I didn't have to wait long. That night, Emma posted a quote on her story. Lies always come to the surface. I smiled. Hook, line, and sinker. Jake must have lost his mind trying to explain himself, because the next day, he unblocked me. And he texted, Jake, what the f*** are you doing? I let him sweat. Jake, I don't know what you think you're doing, but whatever bullshit you're trying to pull, it's not going to work. Oh, Jake, it was already working, because Emma, she was already slipping through his fingers. I had been waiting for this moment. For years, I had watched Jake manipulate his way through life, playing the struggling entrepreneur, the misunderstood genius, the victim of bad luck, and now he was the one spiraling. The moment he unblocked me and sent that first angry text, I knew he was losing control. And Jake, he couldn't handle losing control. When Jake texted me, what the f*** are you doing? I didn't respond immediately. I let him sit in his own paranoia for a few hours. Then finally I replied, me. Oh, so now you remember I exist? 5 seconds later he was typing. Jake, don't f***ing play games with me. I know you talked to Emma. Jake, whatever you told her, fix it. Now. I could almost hear the desperation in his words. See, the thing about men like Jake? They thrive on control. They need to be the ones dictating the narrative. And right now he had no idea what I had told Emma. Which meant he had no idea how much she knew. And that was killing him. I didn't need to convince Emma to leave him. Jake was going to do that all by himself. Because the moment he felt her pulling away, he was going to suffocate her. I knew exactly how this would play out. First, he'd try to act calm and reassuring, convincing her that I was just a bitter ex, desperate for attention. She's crazy, babe. She just wants to ruin what we have. You're not gonna let her win, are you? And for a little while, Emma might believe him. But then when she was still a little distant, still a little unsure, Jake would snap. Because Jake can't handle doubt. He needs complete devotion, blind loyalty. And when he didn't get it, he'd panic. He'd start questioning her, checking her phone, picking fights over small things. And Emma? She'd start seeing the side of Jake that I had ignored for years. The side that gets cruel when he feels cornered. The side that can't stand not being in control. And once she saw that, she'd leave. I was patient. I didn't reach out to Emma again. I didn't need to. Because Jake was already unraveling. I knew it when I saw her Instagram posts change. The sweet, love-struck captions disappeared. The photos of them together stopped. Then one night, she posted a quote. Some people don't love you. They just don't want to be alone. And I knew. It was over. It took less than a week. Emma dumped him. Jake must have completely lost it because she deleted every trace of him from her social media in a single night. And then, she blocked him. Jake, who had once erased me like I was nothing, was now the one being wiped out of someone else's life. And the best part, I didn't even have to do anything. I just let him be himself. And that was enough to destroy him. Jake was officially alone, Emma was gone, his perfect life crumbled, and I was still here, watching, waiting, holding all the power. And then, just like I predicted, he did exactly what I knew he would. He came crawling back. The first message came late at night. Jake, hey, can we talk? I ignored it. A few hours later, Jake, please, just one conversation, that's all I'm asking. Then, Jake, I know I messed up, just give me a chance to explain. He was desperate. And desperate men? They make mistakes. I waited until the next evening before replying. Meet me at our old spot, tomorrow, 8 p.m. The second the message sent, I smiled, because Jake thought he was getting a conversation. What he didn't know, he was getting closure, my way. Jake was already sitting at the cafe when I walked in, looking different. Not the cocky, self-assured man I had once loved. No designer clothes, no expensive watch. He looked smaller, pathetic. I sat down, keeping my face unreadable. Talk, I said. Look, I was an idiot, he began, his voice low and smooth, the same voice he always used when he was trying to charm me. I let him ramble. Emma was a mistake. I thought I wanted something new, but... He reached across the table for my hand. The truth is, no one has ever been there for me like you were. I let him touch me. Let him think for just 1 second that his words meant something. Then, very softly, I said, "You're a liar, Jake." His face fell. What? You didn't leave me because you got lost. You left because you're a user, a manipulator. You drained me dry and then moved on to the next girl who would fund your pathetic little fantasy life. His expression hardened, his true self slipping through the cracks. That's not fair, he snapped. Fair? I laughed. You blocked me like I never existed. Now that you have nothing, you're back. I stood up, grabbed my coat, and leaned down just close enough for him to hear me when I whispered, "You're nothing without me, and you always will be." Then I walked out. But I wasn't done yet, not even close. Because Jake didn't just hurt me, he wasted my time, my money, my love, and men like Jake, they don't learn unless they lose everything, so I made sure he did. Jake thrived on networking, on convincing people he was someone worth investing in. So I made sure no one would. I reached out to every mutual friend we had, casually mentioning how Jake had borrowed money from me and never paid it back. I slipped into networking groups he was in, all those entrepreneurs he was trying to impress, and shared a simple warning. Just be careful with Jake. He has a habit of letting people invest in him, and then disappearing. People like Jake can't survive without connections, and one by one, his doors started closing. I had spent thousands supporting Jake. And now, it was time to get it back. I still had his old messages, every "I'll pay you back soon" text, every promise. So I drafted a simple legal letter, nothing too serious, just enough to scare him. Me. Jake, you owe me money. If I don't get it back, I'll take legal action. He panicked. Jake, are you serious? Me, dead serious. Jake didn't have the money, but his parents did. And guess what? They paid me. A week later, I got one last text from Jake. Jake, you didn't have to be so cruel. I smiled, then I blocked him for good. The end. Final thoughts. Jake thought he could erase me like I was nothing. Instead, I erased him. No public humiliation, no dramatic revenge, just letting him ruin himself and giving him a little push when needed. And honestly, that's more satisfying than anything else.